Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now firstly, apologies for the lack of videos in the last few days, but I, like many people, have been watching the news and all the royal coverage for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the accession to the throne for King Charles III. It's history in the making, folks, and I make no apologies for it. I am engrossed and got some more stuff on that in a separate video. But anyway, those of you waiting for the big review of the film Outland, Peter Hyams' great sci-fi high noon in space with Sean Connery, Outland from 1981, it's coming. The only reason I haven't done it yet is I haven't had the time to sit down and do a big full-length video. It's been too hectic, chock-a-block with stuff. So that is coming though. So don't worry, don't fret. Anyway, but a little video now, just to keep things ticking over a bit. And it's about Prey, a wee movie I may have mentioned just a few times over the last 18 months or so. But I haven't mentioned it for a while now. And that's because it's been out, we've seen it, we've loved it, most of us. And it's actually broke a lot of records. I found out this morning that it's actually, there's over 1 billion minutes of stream time for Hulu. It was released on Hulu and Disney+. So it's the biggest movie that Hulu has ever put out there, which is great news. But what other movies has Hulu put out there? Well, it did put out that big Oscar-winning thing, Parasite. Wasn't that South Korean, I think? I haven't seen it. There's no aliens, no face-sucking. Despite the title Parasite, it's not about anything monstrous, I don't think. It's a family sort of drama. So I haven't seen it. But Prey, Parasite, something going on there. Has done remarkably well. As I say, streaming over 1 billion minutes worth. But I don't think they're adding up all the success it's had on Disney Plus as well, because obviously Disney Plus has had so many other movies like Disney movies, proper old school Disney movies, which are doing really, really well, and obviously scooping up millions and billions and trillions of minutes worth of streaming time. But Prey's done remarkably well for what is a low budget movie in a loved yet maligned franchise, and coming off the back of The Predator from 2018, Jesus, it had an uphill struggle, didn't it? And it's a much smaller sort of story, smaller yet bigger in scope, because you've got Native Americans, you've got the Comanche, you've got French fair trappers, you've got extraterrestrial, sleek, dreadlocked alien Rasta hunters, and a lot of wildlife as well, and a hell of a lot of CGI. So it's actually quite a big movie when you think about it. There's a lot going on in it, a lot of cross-cultural sort of referencing, a lot of history goes into it, and it builds up clearly at the end to something else, perhaps. And we still await news, bona fide news, that there'll be another sort of movie in the Predator franchise that actually does deal with Naru, Amber Mid-Thunder, and Horsehead Dog Sari, and that whole sort of environment of the Comanche. Or if you update it slightly and you go to like maybe the American sort of Civil War, maybe the American Indian Wars, I don't know. But that's certainly the track and trajectory that they seem to want to go on, according to Dan Trachtenberg, the film's director, and Jehane Myers, who is the Comanche woman who produced the movie and oversaw all the Comancheisms, made sure they got all those references right, and got them speaking Comanche in that overdub. Because this is the film that also, unusually, it had two versions. It had the one in English and it had the one in Comanche. But the Comanche was an overdub. They weren't genuinely speaking Comanche on camera. They weren't doing that. Even though they were all Native Americans from different tribes, they had to go back in and do the voices over the top. But it worked great, I thought. And at least it was a gesture to a language which apparently only 400 people in America actually still speak. So, but now there's a few more. You've got the cast of this as well. So, but I'm made up with it. I obviously was massively big in this movie up. Was looking forward to it, very enthusiastic, and it did deliver. I loved it. I still do love it. I think it's terrific. I'm playing Sarah Sachner's score for it right now, which has been one of the scores of the year for me, and one of the films of the year for me, if not the film of the year so far. But it's not perfect. I still have a lot of issues with this dickhead of a pred, the feral. He gets every single person he goes up against, every single animal he goes up against, takes a piece out of him. He keeps walking into traps. You know, he's not the best, but then again, he's not meant to be the best. He's meant to be, he's the new kid on the block. And like, go on, if you really want to prove yourself, I mean, this is what it is, the sort of the duality. You've got Naru, who wants to prove herself to the rest of the tribe that she can hunt and go out on the big hunts with them all and hunt something that's hunting them. That's what she wants to prove that she can do. And the feral wants to prove he's as good as the other Yacha. So, well, put your money where your mouth is, where your big mandibles are. Boy, get down to this planet. There's plenty of wildlife there. See what you can do with that. So he does. And as I say, everything takes a bite out of him. But, and I'm not, see, the complaints I have, I don't think he looks that good. Despite me bigging up the imagery we got before the movie's release, I was like, oh, well, that looks, I love that. Love the look of that. I love the way he's a bit more lean, but he's muscular, but he's nowhere near as big as the other ones. He's tall, but he looks anatomically correct. I love them sleek dreadlocks. Loved all that. Loved the weaponry. Loved the tech. Loved the tribalism. But I hated the face. Hated the face. It just, they can't seem to replicate what they did when Stan Winston did it, first of all, in Predator 1987, with, of course, Kevin Peter Hall playing the Pred. They can't replicate that at all. Every successive movie, they've screwed around with the face. I like the idea that they all do look different. We all look different. All of us look different. You know, of course we do. So the Preds, just because they are a race, they shouldn't all look identical, should they? But I just don't like the successive appearances of these guys. They just don't seem to match the cunning, the emotional quality, which Kevin Peter Hall could emote from behind that mask. And the mandibles were great, the mouth was great, the eyes told the story. Now, in this one, you've got, I forgot his name now, the big basketball player that played the Pred. And he plays the bear as well, the big grizzly bear as well. But his eyes are down here. So what's up here? That's all, the eyes, that's all CG and stuff. But he's looking through the neck. So he can't really see properly. So you're not getting the character, the genuine character of somebody that is a living, sentient being. Eyes convey so much, even in a movie. Even in a cartoon, the eyes convey so much. Although, weirdly, when they try to do full, realistic, lifelike CG, it's always the eyes that let them down. Why? Because there's no real life behind them. So there's the irony of it all. They're trying like mad to get the eyes to look fantastic and really lifelike. Look at Gollum, look at Kong, look at anything in CG. Those zombie-like things in the Polar Express. The eyes let them down because they are lifeless, soulless. Like a shark's eyes, you know, black eyes roll over right, you know. But anyway, but all the faults with the movie, I don't know if it's a fault. I said right from the word go that I'm not sure if the French fair trappers are in it too much or too little. Well, I've seen the film probably a good dozen to 15 times now, all the way through, and I've seen bits of it loads of times, obviously, in between. And I still can't work out if I like them in the movie or loathe them in the movie. They're necessary to the plot, of course, but I just either do more with them or just have them as a tiny little sort of element. Because what I don't like is the showdown in the burnt forest, the burnt wood, where they trap. They obviously have Naru and her brother, Tarabe, tied to a tree, and they're luring the Pred in. And the Pred, once again, can't work out even his vision when they're hiding underground and all this. But that is, people seem to rave about that fight, that skirmish. I don't think it's that good at all. I don't like that device he throws, the net, and the camera pans underneath, and there's a box holding it. How did that actually work? He threw the net over the guy, which dragged him onto the tree. So, but underneath is this thing. Did the net come out separately from the box and then position itself, and then it gets dragged into the box, dragging him through the tree, obviously, and shredding him? How does that actually work? And it's the same with a lot of the weaponry. You're not sure. It's not clear enough what it does. I know, I've worked it out for a lot of it now, and I've seen lots of descriptions and everything else like that. If you go on to AVP, Galaxy, There's loads of interviews with all the cast and the crew and the people who designed the creature and his weaponry. So it goes into finite depth about it. So that, but in the movie, there's little bits like that which are just too quick. You don't quite pick up, and you need to. The mystery's nice, keep the allure, the mystique going, but you need to know just enough. Like, I agonised how she outwitted him at the end. That projectile dart gun that he's got, I don't actually like that. I hate the way, he puts his arm and it just floats there. It looks too whimsical. It looks too slight. Like, I wouldn't be trusting that. But again, it's the duality. They use bows and arrows and he has a dart gun himself. So it's a projectile, a pointed projectile. Not like a bullet, but like an arrow, a dart. So I do like the concept of it, it's just not the execution so much. The fight with the fair trappers. There's a couple of good bits in there. Putting the spikes through one and hailing him over onto someone else. Yeah, that's okay. But what I truly do not like is the bombs at the end, which climaxes that sequence altogether, where they just stand there and watch as these things really badly. People are complaining about the CGI for the animals, which I never complained about. I thought the animals looked great, and I still stand by that. They look wonderful. I don't have an issue with that at all. But I have an issue with these floating little bombs, which these guys are like, and it's going, and then all of a sudden they run off. And then I like the enigmatic shot in the sort of the smoky, misty sort of landscape, as they've obviously run off in different directions, and these things have gone off, and you just get boom, boom, boom. These little tiny mini blasts taking these guys out. But overall, that fight is not enough for me. I want to see more actual, genuine skirmishing, yet you do get more. He fights Tarbay, of course. He fights Tarbay and Naru. And those fights are great. So maybe they're building themselves up for those. But yeah, the Fair Trappers, even their introduction, where Naru's put herself in those bear traps, how often do we see them in the movie? I do like the fact that the feral chucks one of them at a fair trapper, and in the distance it takes its head off. Like, I like that when it clamps shut. But when Naru is in the bear trap, and suddenly the pred comes up and he's analysing it, he's looking at the chains, he's working it out, and yeah, he still manages to put his own foot in it later on, but even though he's meant to have worked this out. But anyway, and he bugs out when the fair trappers arrive. But they're also comical and OTT. They're all there with their fucking flintlocks. Oh, c'est me, I sacre bleu. Oh, fuck off. Jog on, monsieur. It's too broad. So, as I say, the fair trappers element, it's either too much of this pantomime stuff or not enough. If you just padded it out with a bit more in the camp where she's in the stockade and getting to know what they're doing, and just drag that out a bit more and introduce a bit more dialogue, even it's not subtitled. I know, isn't that clever? Because the Comanche can't understand the word these guys are saying, so why should we be able to, unless we're Francais, or Cajun, and but it doesn't hang together. These guys do not work so well for me. And that's quite an issue, I suppose, for a film that I truly love. And I do love it. So even though I've just spent a few minutes there ripping it apart, just so you'd think, there's still so much more of it that outweighs, the elements I don't think live up to expectations, that really surpass my expectations. Amber Midthunder is still tremendous in the role. Sari the dog is awesome. And I love the imagery of your hero and their dog. I strut around, heroic, in my kilt, strutting about with my dog, the husky, of course. So I associate with that. I'm a dog person, and I definitely love dogs in movies. And I love the fact that the dog, even though it manages to put its tail, how did it put its tail in the bear trap at the start? How did it do that? How did its tail do it? You have to put pressure on. It must have been, its tail must have been going, hair tail, like that, clamps up. But I love the fact the dog didn't die. It only gets hurt in that bit and then gets treated very well with the orange Totsia flower. By the way, if you start looking what Totsia means, this mystic herbal rectifying plant that the Comanche use to heal all wounds and cool the blood so that the feral can't see you with its thermovision. Totsia just means flower. Because they basically made it up. In Comanche and Native American culture, there are a lot of plants that are used for various purposes, but they just generalised it, they broadened it. We'll call it orange Totsia, you know, and we'll just leave it at that. But everyone's going, oh, I've got to find this stuff. This stuff's amazing. It must be real. It's just flower. It's just a flower. They made it up. But anyway. So yeah, and I love the whole concept of the coming of age, proving oneself. And Naru is a great character. And she does go from like ambitious, impetuous at the start. She goes through all of this. She witnesses the demise of several tribes companions and their own brother, and then she rises to the occasion and defeats the feral. A lot of people don't like the way she defeats the predator, but she uses it's quick. I mean, I'll give it that. I'll give the folks say like it builds up and it's just over. The fight's just long enough, and I'd like a bit more because you just want more of the stuff you're enjoying. You want more of that, so I'd like that fight to go on a bit longer. But what you get of it, plenty of acrobatics, plenty of bone-crunching violence, but and she has set traps for it. She has took its arm, she takes a mandible off it, you know, and it's quite bloodthirsty and down and dirty. That feral, he has more injuries to himself than if you had all the victims in the entire Predator franchise and totted it all up, all the injuries and wounds. He gets more in the course of his one adventure on Earth over a couple of days. He gets ripped to shreds, basically. He loses an arm, loses a tooth, puts his foot in traps, he gets bitten by a wolf, bitten by a bear. Everything takes a chunk out of him. He gets sliced up with a spear through him, he gets shot through the head. It is amazing. But I still love it. And I still love that fight at the end. As I say, and it's only because I want more of it that it's kind of like, oh, that's the one thing. I just want it to be a bit longer, another minute or so of, fight choreography and hair getting battered, perhaps. I mean, the thing about the original Predator and Arnie, one man mountain, he's fought everybody. So what in all the movies so far, and then up to that point, well, what can we do? What can we put him up against? A big ass alien with tech, but he outwits it using his own primal cunning and savagery, going back to basics. But then when his camouflage has come off, the Pred, like, oh, fuck it, you're a worthy adversary. I'm gonna fight you, mono a alieno, mano a predo, and I'm gonna take the mask off and all my weaponry, and let's just go for it. And at that point, he's even more savage, and he's terrifying. He's even more terrifying, of course. Like, you get this, going on. Each new reveal of the Predator in the first movie is just spectacular. It just increases the odds and your fear and mystery and trepidation and dread all the more. But Arnie gets his ass handed to him. He gets beaten to a pulp, and it's only by luck he manages to crawl back to, oh, here's me traps. But the Pred spots were on them. That's still one of my favourite moments in cinema, is that moment where Kevin Peter Hall just goes, and he sees the spikes, and Arnie's, come on, kill me, I'm here, kill me, do it now, kill me, I'm here. And Arnie's face, and he goes, oh shit, and he realises the Pred just goes, and the big jaw comes up, and it's like, fucking thinking about this, no, I'm going to come around the other side, and then goes, ha ha. I actually like that. I've said many times about movies where the monster just runs to the camera and goes, rah. I mean, they don't do that. Why would they do that? How many dinosaurs do that in movies? All of the Jurassic World bullshit, like all of this, and any CG monster, to show it off, they always have to go, rah. But in Predator, he does that when he first does the reveal, which is a spectacular reveal because you want to see that, oh, his face can do that as well. Oh my God. And then when he jumps down and goes, ah, like that to Arnie, it's because, like, look, I've outwitted you again. You thought you had me there, you almost did, but I've got you, boy, I've got you. It's showboat and stuff, and it's part of the character, so it works. However, in Prey, you do get the relentless CG. He does it way too often, way too often. And I've got a feeling that you may see him too often. Oh God, am I bashing Prey? Is that what I'm doing? But I think maybe you do see him too much. So if you took out some scenes of him, you know, and you added a bit more of the French Fair Trappers, I don't know. Something in the mix is slightly awry, I would say. And I think it revolves mainly around the Fair Trappers, because they do kind of get on my nerves. They either don't do enough, they're not as character based, there's nothing to really pin yourself on there. You've got the cigar chomping bastard, of course, who's in charge, and you've got but his demise, there's not a lot to that, is there? You know, oh, cigar, what's this? And then she sees him in the camp. You know, he's the one that did it. It's these guys that skinned the buffalo. There's another thing, people seem to get this wrong as well. I've seen so many people online going like, why did the Pred skin the buffalo? He didn't skin the buffalo. They did. That's why they're there. Isn't that the most obvious thing? I don't know. Maybe it isn't. But I'm the guy that couldn't work out how a trap worked for him at the end with the target system and the dark going around. I'm the one that didn't work that out. But anyway, it did afterwards. But you know, at the time, I was like, how did she do that? What exactly happened there? You know. But anyway, obviously you've got your pistol packing translator, your Italiano's translator. I mean, yeah, he's got a bit more of a character, but it's still very threadbare, to be perfectly honest. Anyway, the point of this is that Prey is still a massive success, and I think, yeah, it would have been great at the cinema. It definitely would have been great at the cinema. Had it just been at the cinema though, that'd be proper box office, and there'd be tangible financial reward there. Because I'm not altogether sure how success on a streaming platform equates to massive, you know, ooh, moolah, we made loads of money. I don't know how that works. I know how it works in the cinema because people are buying ticket subscriptions. I get that bit, but still, I don't know. Because there's so many ways to get these movies via illicit streaming devices, especially when it's gone out to be streamed in high definition, and then you've got it straight away for free, you know. But anyway, it has done remarkably well, and as I say, I think part of its huge success is the fact that it went purely to streaming, so people are watching it and watching it and watching it again, because that's what I've done. Now at the flicks, you know, you can't afford to keep on going back, can you? Those days are my old days when I used to go to the Phoenix Cinema in Wallasey for free every single day. And I was there all night long. After school, I'd go straight to that cinema and I'd watch films for nothing. Because I was in the know. And but now, if I wanted to see this again and again and again, that's going to cost me a bomb. You know, so I just wouldn't be able to do it. So now, because I'm not against films being streamed day one, I like the option to have that. Because you've got Halloween Ends coming, and as I said, you know, I'm really seesawing on this Halloween Ends. I've not been a fan of the first two of this trilogy, and I really don't like what I'm hearing about this one. So do I really want to go dressed up as Michael Myers like I did for the first two and sit in the cinema to be absolutely demoralised and disappointed at the end of that, having paid a load of money and drunk a load of whiskey at their vastly inflated prices in the cinema? Do I want to do that, or do I want to sit at home and watch it? I think I'd sit at home and watch it, to be honest. Yeah. So, had Prey gone up against, say, Maverick, people are still going to flicks to see Maverick. Funnily enough, I haven't seen Maverick yet. Top Gun Maverick, that is. As opposed to the Western Maverick with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover and what's her name? Oh my God, from The Accused, from Silence of the Lambs. I've forgotten her bloody name now. Jodie Foster, that's it. Now, I haven't seen Maverick, and to be honest, and people go, "What? It's magnet." I know, but I don't want it. I have absolutely zero interest in it. Zero. Love Tom Cruise, and I do have an interest in the original Top Gun, which is just an 80s pop culture music video, you know, and a recruitment drive. This is a recruitment drive as well, I know, but it's got a story to it, and it delivers on all counts apparently. But I can't summon any urge to go and see it. I just can't. And you shouldn't have to try to do it. If you want to go and see a film, go and see a film. If you want to you're enthusiastic about something, it's undeniable. But I will not go and see things now on it. Oh, I feel like I should go and see this. I should. People tell me I should go and see it. Well, no, I'm not like that anymore. You know, if I walk into our big movie room and it happens to be on, this is what happens a lot. And say my daughter's watching it or the wife's watching it because she loves Tom Cruise, and I come in and go, oh yeah, it's Maverick. I'd sit down and I'd watch it and then go, oh, you know, I like that. Then I'd go back and I'd watch the whole movie. That's what I would do. But at the moment, I'm not going out my way to either put that on or go to Flicks to see it. I'd rather watch Prey again and again and again. I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird. But, you know, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? So anyway, Prey is doing really well. So further installments in the Prey Predator franchise are guaranteed. That is happening. They are going to be doing more Predator Prey movies. And there's a lot of Alien stuff as well. And there's a lot of AVP stuff being mooted as well. So this universe is going to get wider and wider and wider with more and more entries and installments. And as you well know, some will be great, some will be not so great, and some will be absolute travesties, because that's the law of things at the moment. But if production companies and distributors keep seeing, you know, money, they'll keep throwing money at it to make money back, and they won't really care about the quality so long as they get great opening weekends. That's the thing about cinematic releases, opening weekends, and then people going back and back and back. But they seem to hinge a lot on opening weekends, even with the streaming, because Prey was the biggest thing, the biggest premiere like ever on a streaming device, I think. Not just on Hulu, but on everything, I think, which is kind of wild, isn't it? Anyway, folks, there you go. The good news is Prey is still kicking ass. People are loving it. I still got some issues with it, but overall, I love it. You know, I'm the guy that absolutely loves this movie, loves the character of Naru and their dog, loves the setting, loves the music, loves the look of the movie. The movie's very, very cinematic. It's gorgeous to look at, absolutely gorgeous. Again, online I've seen people saying like, oh, it looks low budget. You know, it's just trees. Look at the landscape. Look at the first Predator. That's just fucking trees. For God's sake, you know. This is genuine wide open vistas, beautiful big skies, landscapes, and most of it's in daylight as well. Well, yeah, a hell of a lot of it's in daylight. Actually, there's a lot of it in darkness too. But I remember the first time I saw it, I was surprised at how much of it took place brightly lit, and I thought, oh, that's really good for an outdoors adventure. You want to be able to see what the environment's like, not just shadows. Anyway. Typically all over the place. Only I could talk about Prey, Maverick, and the royal family. All in one rambling video. Folks, happy number shall be Kilt-Man. Please keep it Kilted, keep it Celtic. Outland review coming very soon. And more coming probably even sooner. So I'm going to see you all. And watch out for bear traps, because they're fucking everywhere.